investors don't buy the real investors, the money doesn't buy until there's blood on the streets, even their own blood. So I feel like this is coordinated blood to get the rest of their buddies in at a decent price before this thing takes off.
My name is Claudio and this is CryptoChin, the channel where I do crypto news, reviews, tutorials, and interviews. And joining me today is Chris from Rice Tvx, or also known as Rice Crypto, who's got a YouTube channel. Do follow him there. I was actually on his show a while back. If you want to check out that video, do join his channel. And actually, you'll be able to see it if you just go to the link on the top right-hand corner of the screen. You can watch that after this video. But today, he's joining to talk about how he started his crypto journey, how he got involved in crypto, since when, you know, the typical stuff. But he's also going to talk about Nexus, which is a really special project, which we do think is under the radar because of its market cap. It's not very high, right? So anything under 100 million is a bit under the radar for most people, right? Most people like Shiba Inu, Dogecoin, anything that Elon Musk talks about, right? So welcome, Chris. And yeah, if you could please introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit, give us a bit of background about you. When did you get involved in crypto? When did you first hear of it, and so on?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for inviting me on your channel, man. I really appreciate. We did that around the blockchain with BitBoy Crypto, and then you came on my channel for a crypto roundtable with Satoshi Sean, and you kind of broke down a little bit about what was going on with Polkadot. So I appreciate you sending the invite to come on your channel. And so for people who are unfamiliar, as you mentioned, my channel's Rice Tvx. I rebranded, so some people in the crypto community may be familiar with me as Rice Crypto. I rebranded about March of last year in 2020. I wanted to branch out my content, restructure my channel. I have 3 shows under my channel, and I'll get into that in a moment. But ultimately, how I got involved in crypto was I was going to school for business administration starting in 2015. And I was interested in learning about that element and considering starting my own business or looking at potentially working for somebody. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, but I knew just learning business administration was going to be a valuable asset all the way around, and really got into studying economics. And what my teachers were telling me and what my research was showing me was really differing. And what I'm talking about is in regards to our fiat monetary system, our fractional reserve banking system, our debt-based system, and how it operates, how it works. And so that really led me down to an interesting rabbit hole. And I was already familiar with cryptocurrency, Bitcoin in particular, just because a lot of my friends were using it for dark web purposes and things to that effect. But I was never really interested at the time. But when I started realizing about basically this money magic system that kind of goes back to Babylon and how it's designed to keep us in debt and to basically keep us debt-based slaves, how this, like I said, how the monetary system works, how the banking system works. And I saw cryptocurrency and blockchain technology as a way for us to be able to take that power away from the central banks, the governments that are trying to put on that control, because they're controlling the currencies, and the fiat currencies are backed by nothing. It used to be backed by something, but ultimately now it's just monopoly money. So I saw the technologies as giving that opportunity of being able to get away from that system. And that really drove me down a rabbit hole. And I wanted to start a YouTube channel. I started getting involved in crypto in early 2017.
Right.
And I decided it was towards summer, end of the year, I decided I was going to start a channel. I was procrastinating. I was really bad at procrastinating, and I was just kept putting it off. And finally, I started a channel. I think it was like October or November 2017, but I didn't post any videos until very early January 2018. And at that point, I had met Ken Bozak, and he had invited me to come on his channel for Not Another Bitcoin interview. And I didn't want to go in there just being some dude. So I wanted to make sure I had some videos on my channel, and that was really the spark that kind of got me going. And so I put out 3 videos, did his appearance on his channel, kept putting out videos. Him and I started working together on a show called Last Week in Crypto. It went for about a year, and then we ultimately dissolved it, but we're still good friends, and we still collaborate on videos. So it's And then, just being in the space, you get to meet so many different people that are in crypto for different reasons. I tend to flock towards the freedom oriented individuals who are trying to get away from the banking system, but I'm very open-minded, not judgmental of somebody just getting in it to speculate so they can make more monopoly money. If that's what they want to do, they got that freedom of choice. So I just felt a responsibility to try to educate people. And so when I started my channel, it was very crypto based, being that I was Rice Crypto, but I was also teaching things about economics. And I was also teaching things about what voluntarism is and what anarchy is. This is before 2020, when everything kind of happened that everybody's aware of. I'm trying to be careful about what I say.
Yeah.
And so that term ended up becoming a very bad term because of certain groups and events that were taking place throughout 2020. So I just kind of shed that aspect. And then when I restructured my channel, I have 3 shows: the Rice Crypto Show, which covers blockchain and crypto technologies. I had the Rice Report, which talks about economics and politics. And then Stranger Than Fiction was my restructuring. And that's where I talk about things that people could consider to be conspiracy theories, history, because it seems we've been lied to about a lot of our history, spirituality, and things to that effect. So, but crypto is still a big part of what I do. And I think it's a big, huge tool that allows for us to be able to obtain the freedom that I and others are seeking.
No, that's really interesting, man. No, and I'm definitely a fan of conspiracy theories myself. I'm really big into that, the Illuminati and the Freemasons and stuff. Like, I really love that sort of stuff.
It's
and
fascinating.
Area 51, all these sort of stuff, like what's going on there. And, I love to dig into these things and start to search for information on that. It's interesting what you find, right? I mean, different opinions from different people. So, yeah.
And there's actually some really cool kind of conspiracy theories in crypto. So that's actually something I want to be trying to cover here soon, shortly. Depending on when you get this video out, I want to let people know that I did get a strike. So I'm not really able to put out videos until this coming Saturday, which I'm not really sure what the date of that is. But
yeah, no, I'm going to put out the video today. Actually, it's going to be tonight, my time.
Okay.
It's going to be like later on in the evening, your time.
So we're recording it on the 25th.
25th of May.
Tuesday the 25th of May, and then my channel will be able to post videos on the 29th. So if you're just checking out my channel for the first time, explore my channel, check out my playlist section. I've got some really cool playlists. I've got a playlist called Crypto OGs, which is some of the more higher profile people that I've interviewed, like Roger Ver, Charles Hodgkinson, Charlie Lee, his brother Bobby Lee, Fluffy Pony, Max Kaiser, Anthony Pompliano, just to name kind of a few.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Have you had John McAfee as well on your channel?
7 times.
Wow. So you're the only guy that had him that many times, because I thought I had him the most. I had him twice on my channel, and I thought nobody else had him on twice, but you just beat me now by a lot. I guess other people have had him on a couple of times, probably.
He has, but I think my channel's been the most, and we've just developed a really interesting relationship. Unfortunately, if people aren't familiar, he's right now locked up for tax evasion and some SEC charges. But I spoke, ironically, I just spoke with Janice by email later last week. This is earlier in this week. So later last week, I was talking to her about the potential idea of being able to do another interview with him, even though he's locked up, because I've heard he has a phone. And so he's not doing any interviews in that capacity. But what she did say, and John said he's cool with it, is I could email her questions. She would get the answers and send them back to me. And it would just be something that I would have to basically just kind of do an audio version.
Like an AMA. I've done that before as well. From companies that work.
I mean, I could put it up as an article and things like that, but I definitely want to do another one, a follow-up, to find out what's going on through his head, because I was able to follow in those 7 interviews throughout basically 3 years. I was able to, the first one took place before any of this stuff ever happened, before he went on the run.
Yeah.
I was working with World Alternative Media at the time.
Yeah.
And then second interview, he was already in Bahamas. And then every interview, he was someplace. I think I might have done 2 in Bahamas, but I did one in Bahamas. I did one when he went to Cuba. He left and went to Dominican Republic, and then he got arrested.
He got arrested in Spain.
Twice. Well, no, he got arrested in Dominican Republic twice on the run. Then he got let go, went to England because he's a dual citizen.
Yeah.
Went to England, then went off grid. And then it was like October of 2020 roundabout, so maybe a little off, is when he was arrested in Spain, and now he's incarcerated. And at his age, with the time that he's facing, he really wouldn't be ever getting out of prison.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah, it's crazy. And it's interesting because the last time I interviewed him, he kind of hinted that he's in Spain, because I'm also in Spain. But he's much further than me because I'm down south. He was up in Barcelona.
Okay.
So yeah, it was interesting. It was like, wow, I can't believe we're in the same country, man. We could have met up and done a proper interview, but that would have never happened, you know.
On our first interview, and I didn't mean to go off on his tangent, but on our first interview, he was living in North Carolina in the United States, and I live in North Carolina in the United States. So we had talked about me coming to his house and visiting him. At that point, we didn't really know each other, so we weren't as close as we became. But he still invited me out to his house, and I was really excited about that. Wow. Then all of a sudden, he's, before it could even happen, he's on the run.
Oh,
and now he's in prison. Yeah.
Yeah. It is what it is. We'll see what happens anyway. It's crazy. Let's talk a little bit about the crypto market, because that's probably what the community wants to hear. Everyone's been asking me about this, and I'm sure they've been asking you and other people as well. Like, what's your take on the market? Do you think it's manipulation at the moment?
100%. I definitely feel that we're still in a bull market. And if you look at past cycles, there are corrective periods. I mean, when you're going you can't just go completely straight up and just keep going up, or eventually you are going to go down. So when we have corrections, even big ones, even the third worst one in the history of Bitcoin, it's still not necessarily a bad thing. From what I can tell, and actually looking at the charts today, it looked like we broke out of that downward pattern that we were facing for that upward resistance, which may now become the next level of support. So I just encourage people, like I've talked on my channel and other people's channels, really think about why you got involved in crypto. And then also, if you got in it to speculate and to make more monopoly money, then ultimately you should have multiple different strategies, and you should have some strategies that are long-term and some that may be short-term. Yeah. And that way you're able to play a couple different angles. And when you're dealing with your long-term holds, your hodlers, you really have to take the emotion out of play, and you really got to stick with the plan that you set up before you even began. Because it's the FUD, the fear of the uncertainty and doubt, that start making people question what they had already decided and intended to do. Now, what I would encourage people to do, and I'm not sure if you've seen the channel, he's been getting a lot of attention because of his video, but it's a channel called Uncomplicated. And I forget the guy's name, the host, but he did a video in the third week of April, and it was about the Wyckoff distribution method. And he was showing where the chart itself was the Bitcoin chart. I'm not sure if it was an hourly or the daily, but it matched up to schematic number 1 textbook to a T, until it got down on the last leg of the E going down. There was a divergence. And what that could have been is maybe the bulls were catching what had happened a little bit late, but we're able to prevent it from going down a little bit further than it went. So we could have possibly went down below like the high 29,000s that we hit very, 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 very briefly. But I think that it got caught because, and I really do encourage people to check this out. When you got institutions coming in, and that's what we have, that's the majority of the money in the space, aside from your whale traders. They don't play by the same rules that we as common people play by. We're not even privy to understanding how they play their system, and they coordinate and work together. So I think it was just released today that, and I think Bobby Lee, who is Charlie Lee's brother, he owned the very first Bitcoin exchange in China, and he's behind Ballet Crypto. I think he was talking about right now, a lot of this FUD has been coordinated through the crypto media outlets, like your Cointelegraphs, your Coin Desks, and they're manipulating things, because a lot of this China stuff that came out is old news that was just
Exactly.
kind of reiterating something that was already put out
Exactly.
before. So it's like a double jeopardy. Now we're being, people are flooding out twice on the same piece of news.
Yeah, because they saw it worked
Because
in 2018, right? In January
right,
when the
because they're
market
trying
crashed.
to they trust these media sources, which is sad because now it looks like these, talking about conspiracy theories, now it looks like these crypto media outlets are turning into the bad guys, and just,
Yeah.
everybody wants to manipulate. And then you've got, whether they're working in coordination with people like Elon Musk and your Michael Saylors and all that, I don't know. It seems like it really seems like everybody's taking turns putting out
Yeah.
bad news, staggering it, and completely manipulating it. And when you look at the Wyckoff, the reason the Wyckoff distribution method was created was because I think the guy's name was Richard Wyckoff. It's Wyckoff. And he was tired of seeing manipulation taking place in the markets. So he came up with these different, he was able to match these patterns that showed where the markets are being manipulated
Yeah.
because of the institutions having that much buying power. And when you talk about cryptocurrencies, even though it may be over $1 trillion, I'm not sure exactly where the market cap is now. I know we hit over $1 trillion. Did we think we were close
Yeah,
to
we
2?
did. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's still not a lot when you look at some of these S&P 500 companies and your FANG stocks and stuff like that. When it really comes down to it, I mean, it's a very small market and can be manipulated by the right players. And
You
that's
know
just
what?
unfortunately what happened.
Yeah, that's interesting when you are saying that it's these guys talk to each other and manipulate the market. Like, because one thing which made this obvious was you probably heard of Mike Novogratz, right? The guy who is really bullish on Ethereum. He's always
Yeah.
promoting it. He actually had an interview on Gary Vee's channel because I follow Gary Vee. He's huge on NFTs, right? And he was meant to have Crypto Stash on there as well. I don't know when they're gonna do an interview. Hopefully
Okay.
soon.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
That'd be good for Stash.
for
He's the
sure.
NFT man.
For sure. And yeah, he was saying on Gary Vee's channel that he was talking about the stock market, and a conversation was brought in, and then Mike said, "Oh yeah, I've got this buddy who calls me sometimes like, what should I do? Should I buy or should I sell this stock?" And I tell him straight away, "No, just sell it, just sell it. It's not a good one." So it's like you're basically telling everyone, like all the viewers, that that's what you're doing. You're manipulating the market. So what's to say that this doesn't happen in crypto? Of course it does, right? And it's not
Well,
necessarily him, but people like him, people with a lot of money that
I'm not sure if it was 2018 or 2019 when Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, came out and was talking negatively about Bitcoin. I think that the week before, a couple of days before, there was some China flood.
yeah.
And then Jamie Dimon, I call him Demon, came out and made some negative statements towards Bitcoin, and the market, it affected the market. I want to say it was 2018. It affected the market. And what ended up happening that people found out was Swift Bank, a bank owned by JP Morgan, ended up scooping up and buying a lot of Bitcoin on that dip.
Yeah.
So you have CEOs of companies manipulating the market by creating false FUD to bring a price down so they can buy it. And when it comes to any traditional investing, there's a term that goes in, that people, investors, don't buy the real investors. The money doesn't buy until there's blood on the streets, even
Yeah.
their own blood. So I feel like this is coordinated blood to get the rest of their buddies in at a decent price before this thing takes off, because you had Michael Saylor, that Elon, and all the people who were like, oh, those guys are crazy. And then they seen the run. Then now it's like all their friends were like, hey, we want to get in on this, but I don't know if I want to get on this price.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, let's bring this price down for our friends so they can get in, and then we'll bring it back up.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And there's many things that we could think of, like different situations that could occur behind the scenes that we're not aware of. And at the end of the day, it's all manipulation. But before we talk about Nexus, I do have one more question. What do you think about a possible scenario of the bear market actually starting and this being the start of the bear market? Do you think it could happen so early?
I mean, it's potentially possible. Now, if something like that takes place, I don't feel like it's going to be because of what's taking place in the cryptocurrency market currently. If something like that was to take place, I feel like it would just be because we are in an economic turmoil globally, because we are facing a situation that is basically the end of this fiat cycle. And that's why you're hearing all this talk from the World Economic Forum and the International Monetary Fund and United Nations about this greater reset, because they know they have to reset the monetary cycle, because we have come to the end of it. There's nothing that we can do. I've explained to a lot of people in 2008, when we had the derivatives housing market crash, the whole system really was dead at that point. Everything collapsed, but it was put on life support and basically made to be zombies. And we're right now dealing with the result of that. And we're trying to continue to keep these zombies alive, trying to keep entities that we know are going to die, that are on life support, to continue keeping them on life support, knowing that ultimately the life support is not going to save them. But that's where we're at. So, I mean, if we see a decline in, let's say, the US dollar loses world reserve status, that's going to, and we're already seeing inflation here in the United States. I'm not sure how we're seeing it around the world, but here in the United States, we're already seeing inflation, and that could lead into hyperinflation. And that could ultimately, that's where someone like John McAfee, to circle back around, was like saying, he was saying one Bitcoin would be worth $1 million. Now, but what he wasn't explaining to most people, and what most people weren't gathering, is when Bitcoin gets to be $1 million, $1 million isn't going to be what we think $1 million is today.
That's right. Yeah.
And so, and just you can look at the history of gold and see how that works, because up until like 1933, an ounce of gold was $20.
Yeah.
And now an ounce of gold is going for around 1,800, and a $20 bill can't buy you an ounce of gold.
Yeah, no, it's true. The monetary system's changing, especially with the printing of money. I think that's going to fuel it even more.
And that's what I'm talking about, because, so, you know, and I'm sorry to go on like little tangents, but I mean, this is important, because in 2020, we printed up almost 25% of the money supply. And now we're having to print up more this year, and we're in May. So who knows how much more between 2020 and 2021, how much of the money supply is going to be added. I mean, now the Federal Reserve isn't even reporting on, I think it's the M2 money supply. It's the M1 or M2. I can't remember which one, but they're not even reporting on it anymore. They've given up. It's gotten to be insane.
But on the bright side, a lot of people that are getting those stimulus checks are investing in crypto, in Dogecoin.
In the wrong cryptos, yeah, but no. So unfortunately, I think that people in crypto, they need to make some sort of mistake early on, so that they can reassess why they're doing this, and also make sure that they're being going through all the different security protocols, writing down all your backup phrases and your passwords and things to that effect, and putting them in a place, because if you lose any of this information, you have no access to these accounts.
That's true. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think a lot of times if you get into it and you dump $1,000 in Doge, thinking you're going to make your $1,000 into like $3,000 or $4,000, and then your 1,000 turns into 300.
Yeah.
And you don't see it going up.
Yeah, because you're buying at the top end of the growth cycle, rather than at the
you're buying the news.
Exactly.
When you should be buying the rumor and selling the news.
Yeah.
But if you're new, you don't even know what the rumor or the news is until you hear about it. Then it's too late.
That's true. Yeah. As soon as Elon Musk tweeted that photo with the pair of boxers with the Doge logo, that was the time to buy in. Not because that was the rumor, right? He didn't specifically mention Dogecoin, and then he started tweeting about it. But now it's like it's too late. Everyone has already bought it, right? But yeah, no, interesting chat about that. Now let's move on and talk about the next topic, which is Nexus. So tell us a little bit about Nexus, maybe like as a summary, and why are you bullish on this project specifically?
Okay, well, this is one of the first cryptocurrencies that I heard about, aside from like your Litecoin, Ethereum, and your Bitcoin back in 2017. And I became a big fan of the project because of what they're trying to develop, and I became friends with the creator. It is a small cap coin. It was actually created back, I think, in 2014. It had a different name and went through a couple, went through a change. I think it was called Coin Shield originally, and then ultimately it was renamed to Nexus. And one of the things that they're trying to do, and one of the things that attracted me to the project, was that one of their advisors is Jeff Garzik, who is, some may know, as one of the early coders on Bitcoin. And some people even question whether or not he is or was involved with the Satoshi Nakamoto group, Jeff Garzik.
Wow.
So the concepts that they were working on were a 3D quantum resistant blockchain. So when we hear about cryptos, the big threat would be obviously quantum computing, which could potentially break the encryption of something like SHA-256.
Absolutely.
So if you have a 3D quantum resistant, it's a 3D blockchain that's consistent. It's constantly moving and shifting. So it's constantly shifting the encryption. So as you break an encryption, a new encryption is formed continually. So it's like to the point that quantum computing shouldn't be able to break this is a concept. And then they based the entire blockchain off the way the internet was built and different layers. That's where I had mentioned to you before I saw similarities in what Polkadot was trying to create. And so it's basically a platform that's competitive to what Ethereum, Cardano, Polkadot, Solana, yeah, and all these projects are trying to do, which is basically trying to create a decentralized internet that you can build applications
and an ecosystem as a whole, right?
Right. So with that being said, there's scaling issues on the Ethereum end, and that's kind of where like the projects we just mentioned kind of come into play. Nexus feels like they've solved the scaling issue. I'm not a tech person, so it's hard for me to kind of get into this, but I would really encourage people to go to nexus.io and look at their information, their white paper. I mean, some of this is way, way techy to the point that I had to get to know the creator so I could help him to dumb down himself to be able to convey himself, because he was just so intelligent and wrapped up in what he and his team have been creating. The other thing that really excited me too is you can create a decentralized internet all you want, but if your access to the internet is through internet service providers, then you have a point of failure, a big major point of failure. So if your cable company or your internet provider doesn't want you to access any of this stuff, they can block you.
Yeah.
Period. So the thing about Nexus that I was really excited about too is that they want to put low Earth orbit satellites in space, low space, or high Earth orbit. I don't know how you would consider it, but they're low Earth orbit satellites taking ground communication and creating mesh networks, which actually creates a decentralized internet that's off planet, that's completely uncensorable and unstoppable in that aspect. You don't have to worry about a point of failure like an ISP.
Yeah,
so
Elon Musk is trying to do, I think Elon Musk has already started a project like that, right? Where he wants to provide internet all over the world. It doesn't matter if you're on the countryside, in the field, you'll still have internet. You'll just have to pay a lot of money. It's like $100 a month or something for the internet connection through the satellite, right?
Yeah, it's through, it's called Starlink.
That's it. That's the one. Yeah.
And it's a constellation of low Earth orbit satellites. It's a very similar concept, but this is a decentralized version. Now, here's where it gets a little bit serious, okay? Because you hear a lot of cryptocurrencies that are and projects that are just speculative, talking about doing something. Now, the reason why I took this very seriously was because the creator, Colin Cantrell, his father is a guy named Jim Cantrell. Jim Cantrell was asked by Elon Musk to be a co-founder of SpaceX.
Wow.
So the creator of Nexus's father is a co-founder of SpaceX. He had Vector rockets and he has a new company as well. I interviewed Jim on my channel recently, so people can check that out. But that's where the satellites are going to come from. So Blockchain had put some satellites up into space a couple years ago, I believe, or a year and a half ago. And those satellites came through Jim Cantrell. So if anybody's going to definitely launch satellites in the cryptocurrency space, which people are talking about, and there's different projects like Skycoin and some other ones, they don't have someone like a father who was a co-founder of SpaceX.
Yeah,
who has a rocket company that has already put satellites in space. So it's not even a question of is it going to happen? It's just a question of when. So they've written an entire operating system for the satellites. And then the cool thing is the satellites and the ground technology will all be tokenized.
Wow.
And I think they'll be tokenized in an NFT form, if I'm not mistaken. Wow. But you'll own partial ownership of said satellite unit. Or you can actually, if you have enough Nexus, you could actually have an entire low Earth orbit satellite if you wanted to. And the company, which I cannot remember the name of Jim's new company offhand. It's in the interview, but they're working on trying to make space commerce affordable so that people can put up low Earth orbit satellites and do other things in regards to utilizing that technology in space.
Wow. So they're doing big things, man. But I am curious though. I mean, if you're saying that he's got a connection to Elon Musk in some way, how come Elon has never actually mentioned it now that he's so close in the crypto space? Do you think it could be coming at some point, or is it just, are they just not prepared yet to make?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I don't think that Elon and Jim keep communication, and Nexus was created after Jim left SpaceX. So I'm not even 100% sure that Elon's aware of the project.
Okay.
Now, I've tweeted out kind of, basically trolling Elon. Like, why are you promoting Dogecoin when one of your former founders' sons has a project that's like so much more superior than a lot of other cryptocurrencies out? I don't know if it's because they're trying to create a decentralized version of Starlink and it's basically competition in that sense.
Might be.
So I gotta plug my computer.
Did he leave on good terms though? That's the other question, because
I don't think so.
Because that's the thing. If he didn't leave on good terms, maybe Elon.
Yeah, he didn't. I don't think he necessarily left on good terms, but you don't have to be friends with Elon Musk to be successful in the space industry, because there's a lot of other. There's Space Chain is another cryptocurrency that's not trying to compete against Nexus. And Jeff Garzik is actually the CTO or one of the CEOs of the company. He's going to be in Miami, and I'm trying to do an in-person interview with Jeff Garzik as well. So I mean, and they've made some announcements today because Consensus has their virtual conference going on.
Yeah.
Do you know about that?
No, I didn't know.
I'll send you a link because I think it's still going on all week, or at least the next 2 more days. I'll send you a link where you can register as a media person and watch it for free.
Cool, thanks. No, well,
so yeah, because they did a big press announcement this morning where they were talking about some partnerships of working with some different companies and things that they're trying to do. So again, Elon, I don't know. Elon to me is just a joke. So I really wouldn't take Elon very seriously. And I think a lot of people at this point are. I don't know if you heard the stories, but when he went to Saturday Night Live to go host the show, a lot of the people who work for Saturday Night Live did not want to work with Elon. Refused to. So a lot of people kind of think of him as just being this kooky rich guy who just says off the wall stuff. Like,
no, he likes to joke a lot. I think he's not taking anything serious. Maybe just because he's got so much money that he's not willing. He's not one of these guys that's trying to invest in a serious way. I mean, he even posted a tweet. He responded to a person's tweet recently. Someone in my community shared it. With regards to projects like the person was tweeting about, I can't remember his name. He was tweeting about Polkadot, Solana, Cardano, and all these different projects. And he was saying to him, Elon, why don't you look at these interoperability projects, which are more serious, instead of Dogecoin? And he actually responded to that tweet, shockingly, and he said because they don't have the funny logo that Doge has or something like that, or no, because they're not memes like Doge. So he's obviously taking everything as a joke, and I don't think he's planning to. If he's going to do something serious, it might be his own project, I think.
Now I don't know if you heard about this, but it was said today that yesterday there was a private meeting with Michael Saylor, Elon Musk, and some Bitcoin core developers.
Yeah.
About looking at different solutions for improving the energy consumption, and that they're forming something and they're being very public. And Elon tweeted something about it today. And then I retweeted it and told Elon I'm just going to start referring to him as flip-flop now. Because it's just a joke.
From Doge to Bitcoin to Doge.
Right? Yeah, I mean, because he was kind of dogging Bitcoin. Now he's like tweeting out something saying there may be some potential here. And, then he's tweeted out saying if you want to help work on the development of, and then you've got developers at Doge saying we've never even talked to Elon. So I don't even know if any of that's true.
He might be even joking. And I think
it might be. But he may be trying to encourage people into space. The other thing that I wanted to add, one of the last things about Nexus, well, they just launched their mobile wallet. They're doing the NFTs, which are launching. And then what was the last thing? Oh, they have a hybrid proof of work and proof of stake system. So you can stake coins and earn, and you can actually mine and earn. So it's pretty interesting. And that's also part of how they've been able to work through the scalability issues and the security issues, because that's the biggest, the two big things that people have to work on in the blockchain space is the security mechanisms, so that you're able to make sure that the blockchain is completely secure.
Yeah.
But when sometimes when you're doing this, you have to sacrifice decentralization. That's why something like Binance Chain can be very successful in being a competitor to Ethereum because of the centralization. But that means, are you wanting to build on a centralized project? So those are the things that people are going to have to take into consideration. But scalability and security, the argument is, how do we obtain both of those and be able to make, so does all that make sense?
No, it does. But the thing with decentralization is that you can never have a project that's 100% decentralized. You can try and make it as much decentralized as possible. If you know what
Distribute
I
as
mean.
much as possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
because
never,
that's
never
a,
100%. There's always going to be some, maybe in the future, who knows, right? Maybe
yeah,
somebody.
well, that's the philosophical debate, is ultimately what is decentralization? Because I don't really think that we, like you said, like, I don't think we've really seen true, like one of the most truly decentralized projects I can say out there is probably Digibyte. But I know there are other ones that are, but like you're saying, I started thinking everything should be ran by communities if it's decentralized. But then when you get involved in some of these smaller projects, you realize there's a team of people who
Yeah.
make decisions for the community. So that kind of takes away some of the, and then it was explained to me that decentralization comes in distribution of the nodes and distribution of the network. So
Yeah.
it's that philosophical question.
No, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, we'll have to see how things go. It's just it's interesting because anything that's related with space attracts my attention, to be honest. Like I'm a huge fan of astronomy, and anything that happens, when they discover a new planet that's in the Goldilocks zone, not too far away from the star, but not too close either to be too hot, like when they discover all these things, like that always catches my attention.
We have an awesome full moon tomorrow, since you mentioned that. It's like a super blood flower moon or something
Yeah,
like
it
that.
happens once, yeah, once in a
So
while, doesn't it?
yeah, so since you mentioned it, I figured I would let people know on the 26th. And I think there's, if I'm not mistaken, an eclipse coming up.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not sure. It might be this month. And it might be coming up very soon. A lunar May 2021 lunar eclipse. Yeah, so I think it'll be like around close to the same time period, the 26th-ish. So I don't think I'm going to be experiencing it here where I'm at in the United States, but I don't know where people are going
Yeah,
to
it
be. But
depends which part of the world you're in, doesn't it? To be able to
if you're
see.
in if you're in Australia, parts of Western US, parts of Western South America, and Southeast Asia, you'll see it, is what it's saying. But it's a total lunar eclipse, plus you have the super blood flower moon. So it's supposed to be a lot of crazy energy.
Yeah.
I
No, I
wouldn't have
think
mentioned it if you didn't say you liked astrology.
no, it's true. I mean, the thing is with this whole point is like what I'm trying to get at is that I think in the future we're gonna see, like you were saying, with decentralized, you're gonna have the satellites, or you're gonna have decentralized internet, because that's how we're gonna go, right? In the future, is just to be able to supply that internet to everyone around the world, even in poorer countries that can't afford it, right? And I think this is why this is where cryptocurrency could actually play a role, right? In some way, because you could have this utility, like if you're in a country which is really poor, and maybe there are people that don't have bank accounts, but if there's a way for them to have like at least a mobile phone or a device to hold this crypto, right, they could use that then as a method of payment. So this is where this whole thing comes together, right? If you think about it, the wider picture.
It's
So
beautiful when you think about it.
yeah.
But it takes collaborative effort and working. That's where I'm not really a maximalist on any particular project. I want to
Yeah.
see projects working together. projects that are working on cross-chain communication and implementation, the Oracle-based ones for the communication between, those are going to be very important moving forward.
That's exactly why we like Polkadot on this channel, because it's all about interoperability. It's not about trying to be the killer of anyone, right? As some people call it. But yeah, thank you very much for that explanation and for giving us your background. But I do have one final question, which I ask all of my guests. And that is, what is one thing in life that you truly desire?
One thing in life that I truly desire. Well, on my channel, I mean, I cover a lot of freedom-oriented content, and I study a lot about law and the legal fiction system. And really what I would like is to be truly a self-governing individual, to be able to be responsible and accountable for myself and not have to be told and forced and coerced into what a government or the situation I'm in is putting me in and telling me what I should and shouldn't do. As a voluntarist, I really don't feel like anything in life should be forced and coerced upon people. People should have the choice and free will. And I guess ultimately that's what I would just define it as, being actually able to have free will, so that if what happened in 2020 and the results of it with what we're having going on in the medical field with the needles and such, you know, if you're a really truly sovereign people who's able to have free will, you would be able to say no
to the vaccine.
But yeah, I was trying to be careful about it, but yeah. But we're at the end of the video, so I don't think the AI is going to pick up something at the end of the video. But yeah, that's what I was talking about completely. Because I mean, there are some countries that are going to be forcing it upon people. In Israel, they have the passport issue where you're going to have the passport to be able to interact publicly. But you know, so their free will is participate in society or don't, and that's not really a choice. So I just think, I was using that as an example, but we truly aren't true, free, independent people who can make the choices that we choose to make, because there are ramifications for the things that we do that governments and such are going to hold us accountable for. Absolutely. So not saying I want to break laws and go out and be a bad person by any means. I just want to be responsible for myself. I'm grown up and have learned enough in life to know what's right and wrong and how to treat people, which is to treat people how I want to treat myself. Now, is everybody in that same position? No. But for those who can self-govern and take care of themselves, they should have that opportunity and should have that choice.
Absolutely.
So I would just ultimately want to be free.
Absolutely. No, very, very good explanation there and ending. Thank you very much for this, as always. If you are interested to check out Chris on Rice Tvx, the link can be found in the pinned comment of this video. So do check it out. And also in the description for those of you watching this on Library TV. He's also on Library, by the way, so I'm going to be posting a link to his Library channel on there. Thank you for watching, and Chris, and hope to see you again soon on this channel. Take care. Have a good day.
Much love.